Alright everyone, I want to welcome you all back to some more of the Great Ace Attorney 2. And we're finally coming on to Van Zieks' second half of the trial, and we're gonna see how that goes, guys. So I'm hoping, the witnesses, well, we already know the witnesses are gonna be pretty interesting, but I'm hoping things go pretty well, We need a smooth transition once in a while. So if anything else, I hope you all continue to enjoy watching, and let's keep it going. Alright guys, and we're back. 2nd of November, 12:33 p.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, there you are, Otto. What kept you, my dear fellow? Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Gina. Sure about what you said in there? That the boss, actually died the day before? It's pretty hard to swallow. Yes. I was shocked by the revelation too, Gina. As was I, possibly more shocked than both of you. It's not competition, Mr. Sholmes. But I was more shocked than all of you put together. This is the autopsy report in question, is it? Yes, it's strange that there's no time of death noted. I suppose there's a simple explanation, or perhaps it was a deliberate omission. Oh dear. If it was deliberate, it puts me in the mind of a last case we worked on, and Dr. Seath. I know. Anyway, it seems that on the day before Lord Van Zieks discovered his body, Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, so perhaps something had happened with them. Come to think of it, you had trouble with those League men too, didn't you, Mr. Sholmes? You were taken in by their trick. No. Naturally, I wasn't taken in, as you put it. My sleuth-hound interest was merely piqued slightly by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. And that scent masked the underlying scent of deception, I suppose. The two criminals in question are the pair we saw being arrested yesterday, aren't they? And Mr. Sholmes' suite, I mean. That's right, Suze. And it was me what took them in. Thanks to a tip-off by a good law-abiding citizen. Indeed, yours truly. So it's gonna be that pair in the witness stand next, is it? Something doesn't quite make sense to me, though. The day before Inspector Gregson was found, you hadn't had trouble with the Red-Headed League yet, had you? Why would the inspector have been investigating them? Well, the likely explanation would be that Gregson's own sleuth-hound interest was piqued by the rare scent of a weekly £4 income. Don't tar him with the same brush as you, Sholmes. Yes, well... Oh, I was reading, with Susato's voice. Then there's the whole issue of Inspector Gregson being investigated by Lord Van Zieks for some reason. The Reaper, the Red-Headed League, Inspector Gregson, Lord Van Zieks, and Kazuma. I feel as though he knew we'd arrived at this point somehow. Gosh, I think you're right. What's he really trying to achieve here today? All the answers will soon be revealed. Observe the time, my dear fellow. This recess will be over very shortly. Yes, you're right. Kazuma was determined that he should be the one to prosecute this trial, and he was determined that I should take the defense. Just what is it that he's hoping to make me see, I wonder? I get the feeling we're a long way from the end of this trial yet. Are you ready then, Mr. Sato? Yes! Second of November, 1 p.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed court hearing of Baron Van Zieks here present, who stands accused of murder. Now then, Prosecutor Asugi. My lord, have you summoned the witnesses as requested? Yes, the two members of the Red-Headed League who planned and carried out the deception. They arrived not long ago from the local prison by police carriage. Very good. Bailiff, usher the two men to the courtroom. Now this is an interesting pair. Eating spaghetti. These two men are currently being held by the police on suspicion of attempted extortion. You may omit your occupations, but state your names now for the court. I am Fabien de Rosseau, a descendant of the great de Rosseau family from Nice in France. And my name is Peppino de Rossi. Peppino. I am the third son of the great Familia de Rossi, the landowners from Napoli. The two men first became acquainted at the boarding school for European nobility. Those who graduate from Temsic are the future leaders of Europe. But, do you have any idea how boring it is to be born with noble blood? Alos, I'm making my mission to get the better of the world by employing the little grey cells in my brain. That is all I'm trying to do, ah? So, that's the only reason for this whole grand deception you've been carrying out. Oui, you could say that. Not bad, eh? He has the grand ideals but the petty plans. This strange combination is a charm of the hilarious brothers. Si, capo? Listen to me, Peppino. I have two things to say to you. Eh, che? Are you about to tell me one of your grandi anecdotes, Eviva? Firstly, I want you to stop calling me the capo. And secondly, we are not the hilarious brothers. This is serious business. Che bello, there it is, the capo's trumpa card. It is deep, ah capo, the pharaoh and the meaning of your words. The court has been led to believe that under the banner of the Red-Headed League, you have conspired to swindle money from the unsuspecting members of the public. Is this true? Oui. CSA. I don't know how to pronounce that. Is it CSK? CSA. And what exactly was the nature of this deception by which you planned to defraud? Alors, I will explain it. No, capo. Leave it to a me. As you see, we both have the vivid red hair, no? At school, we were teased for this without pity. The capo here, he was many times behind the schoolhouse crying like the Trevi fountain. Oui, those zogs. One day the world will respect us redheads. Every night... Si bien, Peppino, enough. I will explain the rest. The first step was the newspaper advertisement. About 1 week before the plan was put into operation, we listed the some notice in every paper in London. Yes, we saw that notice. It was this one, I believe, entitled To the Red-Headed League. Oui, c'est ça. I'm honored that you have seen it. It states that the only condition for joining the league is having flame-colored hair, and that if you satisfy the interview panel and are admitted to the league, you could receive a weekly income of £4. On the date specified, red-headed hopefuls gathered in droves at the park specified in the advertisement, and from each person present, this pair took an application fee of 5 shillings. And with the money to France, it was a plan most elegant, non? No, it was most dishonorable. But to be frank, I'm stunned anybody was foolish enough to be taken in by such an obvious trick. The park was described by one of the witnesses as choked with red-headed folk like a coster's or orange barrow. And the day on which all these men gathered to apply was the day before the victim was discovered. Crucially, these two men spoke face to face with every single person present that day. Oui, I have seen more red-headed people in one day than I will see in the rest of my life. See. And then now, every time I see the capo's hair, I feel sick to my stomach. Anyway, why have we been summoned here today? Sorry? The date for our trial was not until tomorrow, I was told. Naturally, neither of these men have been told any details about this trial. They've only been shown this photograph. Very good. So, Mr. de Rosseau and Mr. de Rossi, you will now give your formal testimony for the court on the subject of the gentleman pictured in this photograph. Of course, we are always ready to help with the law. This guy's still eating spaghetti. The man in the photograph. We had more than 1,000 red-headed people assembled in the park on Lime Street that day. But I don't recall the man in this photograph, I, capo? None. I don't remember him. Obviously, he is dead now, but I assure you, he was not in the park. Aloha, this victim is had nothing to do with us. You have a lot to answer for, Pepino. It is your fault that we got caught in the first place. You've given sworn testimony that this man in the photograph was not present. Can you be certain? Oui, I am quite certain we did not interview this man. Nobody looking like this came to the park. This I can promise. It must be noted that you have been arrested for a grand deception, however. Accordingly, this court has little confidence in your assurances. Ofa, with this attitude, we get to nowhere, huh? He's really sulking now. This confidential document was obtained directly from Scotland Yard. It records an entry from the inspector's private diary dated the day before the incident. It reads, Lime Street, Red-Headed League undercover. Ah, I have the answer. Maybe there was another similar event in the park on the day in question, huh? That is ridiculous. There's no question that Inspector Gregson was investigating the Red-Headed League, which means it's quite possible that's when he was killed. Very well, the defense may proceed with the cross-examination now. Ah, yes, my lord. Alright, here we go. We had more than 1,000 red-eyed people assemble on the park on Lime Street that day. But I don't recall the man in this photograph. No, I don't remember him, and obviously he is dead now. I assure you he was not in the park. Hold it! But according to what you've said, you spoke with 1,000 or more people that day. Oui, that's true. My eyes were burning the end of the day. Surely then you can't actually remember every single face. How are you so certain that this particular man wasn't present? Normally the red hair is very distinctive, eh? But not when you have 1,000 redheads crowding around. Then it's just an eyesore. But if there was some other information you could give us, maybe we would recall. That is not the line, Pepino. Remember, we do not remember him. We are sure of that fact, huh? If there was a man with a red earpiece, but his mustache did not match the color, then I do not think I could have forgotten him. Kazuma said these two had only been shown that photograph and they'd been told nothing else at all. But what if I fed them just one other detail about the victim, for example? Okay, what was his profession? I can certainly appreciate that just knowing the man had red hair wouldn't help you remember in this situation. But what if I told you that the man in the red hairpiece was actually a detective? The man in the photograph, a detective? Yes. It would appear that he found your notice in the paper suspicious and decided to investigate incognito. Sorry, but this changes nothing. Oh, but I see something happening on this end. Excuse me! Something to add, Mr. De Rossi? Che, si! I am always adding something. Parmesan, olive oil, pepper. What I mean is, did you not agree with your friend's last remark by any chance? Eh? What did he just say? About the detective? Yes, that. Keep your mouth shut, Pepino. You have said enough already. But the why, Capo? What is the problem? There was a man who said that I'm an inspector from Scotland Yard. What? Good lord! I like how he's like, he's standing on a box. Order, order, order! Explain, both face in your testimony, witness. It's simple. There was no such man. Madai, what are you saying, Capo? Have you forgotten, I've forgotten nothing. Nobody likes these games to this park. Basta, Capo, basta! You beat me at many things, but not two, the memory and the meals. Like I said, when it's time to eat the pasta, no one is a fasta. But you are inferior to me in every other way, so shut up. Objection! Ugh. Trop tard. The damage is done. Indeed it is, sir. Oui. There was a man who came to the park and he said he was an inspector from Scotland Yard. However, he looked nothing like the man in the photograph. He was someone else. How can you be so sure? Because, to start with, his face was completely different. See, it's true. The man who came was a younger. His face was clean-shaven, his eyes were sadder, his chin was thinner. No resemblance whatsoever then. Is that Sholmes? Anyway, I was not going to be fooled. I took the obvious precaution and said to him, "If you are really a detective, show us the proof." See, the capo here, he doesn't take no nonsense, eh? But he was well prepared. He said he had identification. Identification? You mean official police inspector's identification? That is most unconvincing. Sorry, my lord. Counsel, no incognito inspector would offer his identification for inspection. It's quite out of the question. Definitely. Why would he expose his true identity? Clearly, the papers were fake. Certo, capo, you are a genius. As we say in Italia, it takes a thief to recognize another, eh? And what happened after he announced that he was a detective? He became very annoying. He said, "You are under investigation." So I took his papers from him and chased him out of the park. It was fantastico. And look, here's the identification. So you stole it from the man. He had it coming. He made us very scared. But he was not who he said he was. Indeed, the person described does not appear to have behaved as a true inspector would. However, I believe it would be prudent for these identification papers to be entered into evidence. But I like them. Now, let us return to the witness's testimony. Okay, nothing to do with us. Let me check out those identification papers. Inspector's identification. Well, I suppose we should see what this inspector identification looks like inside. Yes, it definitely looks fake, doesn't it? Out of interest, what name is given? Probably just something plucked out of the air. It's Tobias Gregson. Wait, what? The Scotland Yard insignia looks genuine to me. But how? And the department identification number details are all correct as well. Since when have you known those? Do you mean to say... I know it seems incredible, but yes. I think this is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. But that's unbelievable. This is the real thing after all? Okay. Anything else here? No? Well then. Objection! I wonder if I could ask you to examine this identification book very closely. Mr. Lestrade. Oh, sorry, Miss Lestrade. Why Miss Lestrade? What is your intention here, counsel? Is this really a fake, or is it genuine? That's the question, which we can't answer ourselves.
Objection!
Don't be ridiculous. No Scotland Yard detective would allow his or her identification to be stolen. That is the boss's. No question about it. It can't be. As I suspected. The undercover detective who attended the Red-Headed League's enrollment on the day in question was the real Inspector Gregson carrying out an incognito investigation. Zualos! Order! Order! But if the boss had his identification stolen, he would have reported straight away. I mean, He was always on it at me about it. If you lose someone report it at once, he'd say. Could it be then that the inspector was physically unable to report it? Physically? What are you saying? Unable to? You're not suggesting? Yes, it's quite possible that he was killed before he had the chance to report his identification stolen. No! Order, order, order! The defense posits that the victim was killed the day before his body was discovered at a different location. Do you two have anything to say about that? I know nothing! I done nothing! Pull yourself together, Peppino. Mon Dieu, you can have a little more like a master criminal than that, non? No, I wish I had returned to Italia. Stop crying, Peppino, please. Otherwise, Lum, stop your whining and start talking. Well, I know nothing. I done nothing. But you will tell everything or face the worst possible outcome. You will dry your eyes and testify again about these identification papers and the precise circumstances under which you came by them. For crying out loud. I love it. The detective and the identification. The truth is, we took him prisoner and kept him in for the night at our secret hideout. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case. We took the man's identification from him and shot at him in the room next to ours. There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm. And the next morning we let him go. He spent the night in a nice room. It was nothing like prison, really. This is outrageous. You imprisoned the man. But no, see, no. It was not that like a prison. He was very comfortable and calm and happy. Ay, capo. It was never part of my plan. I swear it. Ufa. So you think it was my fault, eh? Just because I got the date of the ferry wrong by one little a day. I do not think it was your fault, Peppino. I know it. No. Por favor, no, capo. It is not fair. You shall have plenty of time for squabbling back at the prison, gentlemen. Ugh. I don't believe this. How could we have been a real detective? Counsel for the defense proceed with the cross-examination. So on the day before the incident, Gregson spent the night confined in this pair's hideout. Alright, let's check it out. Truth is, we took the prisoner and kept him at night at our secret hideout. Even though I didn't think he was a real detective, I was too scared to let him go that day, just in case. We took the man's identification from him and shut him in the next room next to ours. There might have been a little tussle, but we did him no harm, and the next morning we let him go. Hold it! What do you mean by a little tussle exactly? Bah, it was nothing, just a minor incident. The false inspector, he was a real piece of work. Ay, capo? What happened? It was a disaster. We give him a nice room, and what does he do, In the middle of the night, he tries to escape through the ventilator. Okay. Can you blame him? We chased him in, bien sir, and we caught him again. Can you blame us? Wait, you didn't shoot the man in your haste, did you? Who do you think we are? Of course not. I simply caught hold of him again and took him back to the room. Excuse me! Mr. De Rossi, is something wrong? Aye, me! Something Mr. De Rossi just said seemed to make you, well, it seemed to make you act even more strangely than usual. What was all that about? Cavallo, at times like that you don't want to have the capo after you, believe me. And I speak up from a personal experience. Personal experience. That is enough, Peppino. There is no need to say more. The truth is, the night before we put the red-headed league man... Well, oh wow, I am messing up today. Put the red-headed league plan into action. I was scared. It was not fair to the capo, but I tried to run away. It's a shame you didn't manage it. But the capo here, he came after me like the turbine, and he dragged me back to the house kicking and screaming. I still have the bruises to prove it, capo. Bruises, you say? You wanna see? You wanna see my fantastical bruises? That's enough now, Peppino. No one wants to look at any part of you. What to do, I show you or I don't. I show you or I don't. You do. Now! Allora, if everybody wants to see, then I do it. Ecco, you see? It's still very visible, That red ring around your neck? You got that when you were dragged back to the house? See, the capo sometimes sees that. I said that's enough! Peppino's neck has nothing to do with what we are talking about here. You have my word. Yes. What is your opinion, counsel? About this red ring around Mr. De Rossi's neck, I wonder, does it matter? Of course it's important. Mr. De Rossi, I'm going to have to ask you to amend your testimony with details about that mark on your neck. Ay, capo. You see, everyone is interested in what I say, Oh. Very well, you will amend your testimony as requested, Mr. De Rossi. Si, if you really want that to know. He tried to escape, but the capo put the collar on him and dragged him back like what he did that to me, see? Alright, hold on a second. Let's try this. Objection! So, the day before his body was discovered, Inspector Gregson was taken prisoner while working incognito. No, none. It was not like that. It was hardly a prison. It was an invitation to stay. It was only. However, you described it, there's one glaring inconsistency that remains. What inconsistency is this, counsel? I would ask the court to look closely at this photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. Of Inspector Gregson. You will see that there's no red ring visible around his neck. But that makes no sense. It was me who took off the collar of the man in the morning, and I saw the red bruises on his neck, just like I have. Given that the mark is still clearly visible on this witness's neck, we'd expect to see bruising on the victim, who was put in the collar more recently than Mr. De Rossi. Indeed. That's most peculiar. But what we tell you, we say this from the beginning, many times. Oui, Peppino's right, the man in the photograph. He is someone different to the man we had captured that night. Order, order, order! It would appear then that on the day before the incident, the man who visited the park on Lime Street was posing as an incognito inspector. Was not Inspector Gregson at all. Objection! If that's true, however, how do you explain the inspector's identification? This is a genuine identification book issued by Scotland Yard. It's inconceivable that someone could have stolen such an important item from the inspector. The prosecution made that assertion itself. And we also know that the inspector had made a note about the Red-Headed League in his diary for that day, which surely means we can't divorce the two events completely. The inconsistency noted by the defense is most troubling. If it were the real Inspector Gregson whom these two red-headed gentlemen encountered, the fact that no bruising can be seen around his neck defies explanation. But equally, if they actually encountered the imposter, how did that person come to be in the possession of the real inspector's identification? Does the defense have some plausible explanation, counsel? The whole thing defies explanation. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. When we come back, we're going to continue on with this trial. And hopefully finish off this particular storyline with these two witnesses involved. So if anything else, thank you again. Until the next one.